and gentlemen, Austin St. John. How you doing, big man?
I'm good. What's up?
Good. All right, so have at it. This floor is yours. These guys they want to listen to you, not me.
Well, they'll regret that soon. What's on your mind, man? Questions, answers?
All right, let's get a first question. Hands? Anybody? All right, I'm going to go way back here, and then Spider-Man, I'm going to come to you second, okay? All right. Come here, Ash.
By the end of the day, we haven't cured world hunger, then we're not doing it right. Okay?
Okay. What was your impression when they came up to you and asked you to do Power Rangers?
Well, at the time, the show was called Phantoms. And then it was called Dino Rangers, and then it was called Power Rangers. Basically, it was a cattle call, which means they put an ad in a newspaper in the Los Angeles area, and anybody who wanted to come audition for a show called Phantoms as one of 5 teenagers with attitude was welcome to come. No acting experience, you bring your little dog to whatever you wanted to do, you were welcome. So in LA, you can imagine an enormous load of people showed up to play a teenager with attitude. Some of them could have been my grandpa. Your inner image is not matching your outer image. Let me just make that clear. But anyway, I remember my very first audition, they just asked me, can you do martial arts? I was like, sure, yeah, I would, yeah. Did a bunch of martial arts. They're like, okay, great, thanks. I was like, wow, that sucked. And it was a $20 bet was the only reason I was there. Somebody bet me $20. I wouldn't be wasting my time if I went. So I was like, oh, well, that's the easiest $20 I ever made. 2-hour drive sucked, but you know, we'll do it again. And then I got home back when there were still answering machines, and there was a message they wanted me back the next day. And when I left, they had given me a monologue, and they're like, read this over in case we want you back, you need to be prepared. Well, I'm a high school kid, literally. I was a junior in high school at the time, and they said, read it over. They didn't say, memorize it, and they sure didn't say the magic words, we're going to test you on it. So I read it over, folded it in 5,000 pieces, stuck it in the pocket, and that was it. Next day, I went back for the return audition. I did a bunch more martial arts, and this beautiful casting agent, I was 17, long blonde hair. She was all sorts of amazing, and I was amazed. So anyway, she was like, did you read over your monologue? I was like, yeah. She's like, well, do you have it? I was like, yeah. So I pull it out, 5 pieces, fold it open. I was like, right here. She goes, are you ready? I was like, yeah, go ahead. So I'm holding it up, thinking I'm gonna have to read it. And she's like, well, did you memorize it? I was like, you didn't say memorize it. You said read it over. And I could just see her like, you know, like this cute little boy. I was like, all right. She goes, well, let's do it a couple like it's happening, and then we'll see after a couple times how you're doing. So, which never happens in Hollywood. You show up at an audition in Hollywood and you're not prepared, they're like, bye. So why I got past that second audition is still, maybe she had a little crush on me, I hope so. That would make me feel pretty cool. The monologue several times was like a paragraph. And young kid, memory's pretty good when I need it to be. And by the end of the couple of reads, I had it down. She's like, oh, now would you be willing to try it without the paper? I was like, sure. So then I started just from dialogue. She goes, okay, now make it real. And I was like, oh, you mean like when I was G.I. Joe as a kid in the backyard? I could do that. And it just, with reckless abandon, I was like, and we're morphing through and blah, and we're gonna save the world. And she was like, thank you. And that was it. She was like, okay, have a good day. And I can remember the director, who was an Aussie. And he's like, yeah, all right, yeah, okay. Goodbye. And there 4 or 5 auditions later, here I am. So that's kind of how it went. Next.
All right. I promised this young man here. Go ahead.
I've seen every Power Ranger thing ever, so I was wondering if you have, or, because that's how I, like, count the years or anything, but, so I've been watching you since I was 2 years old, and so I just, wanted to know if you've ever met a fan that is the same.
I have met fans all over the world. Probably millions of them now. What's your name, buddy?
Grayson.
Grayson. I've even met a few Graysons. But each and every fan I meet anywhere in the world is extra special. And maybe a little crazy because they like the show in their own special way. So you're kind of special because there's nobody else like you, not even if they have your name, not even if they've seen all the shows. And I bet your mom and dad would tell you you're one of a kind too. So I haven't met anybody just like you. But I've met some other people who've enjoyed watching the show and seen hundreds of episodes, and they probably could talk to you about a lot of what's on your mind. I could too. I haven't seen all the episodes. You know how many episodes there are right now? How many? 28 seasons. It's somewhere around 900. And I have to work for a living.
Well, let me get back to him. Hang on a second. Excuse me, Sam. Pardon me? All right, Grayson, what was that again?
I've seen all the stuff, both Bandai eras. I've seen the Disney era and the Hasbro. I've seen everything.
You were busy during COVID, weren't you?
He's a connoisseur. This guy's a connoisseur.
I'm impressed, buddy.
All right, Sam.
Hi, Austin.
Hey?
After you left the show the first time, was it weird to come back as the Gold Ranger, then in the second movie, and then for the 10 Red Rangers episode and so forth?
No. I think when I came back, I got respect. Everybody knew why I left the show. And even the one who was lying to everybody about it, they all knew why I left. They all knew why the other two left with me and that we stood up for what was right. And to this day, I'm proud of it and forever will be. We were the three with the courage that fought. And we were right. And we weren't just fighting for the cast to get paid more. That's a popular misconception. We were fighting for the entire crew. Had we gotten what we wanted, everyone in front of and behind the camera, hundreds, would have lived a better life. But because the other three chose not to fight with us, that didn't happen. So when I came back, I got respect. And maybe a little bit of love too. And it was a neat thing. You know, when people know that you do the right thing, but they can't openly say it because they work for a system that doesn't allow it. You know what I mean? And you just kind of get a lot of that quiet nod. You get the look that says you did it right. You get the handshake, you know, back behind the curtain or on the side of the set or in the back of the building or behind the desk. Somebody just walks up, shakes your hand, gives you a nod. That's something you earn. It's not given. Respect is earned. And three of us earned that respect. So that was when I came back the first time. Second time I came back just out of curiosity. Well, first time I came back out of curiosity too, but second time I had no idea there'd been 10 Red Rangers. I was like, what are you guys doing to them? Are you killing them off? What happened? Like, has the show changed that much? We're assassinating Red Rangers? But then a buddy of mine, I called up on set and he goes, no, man. He goes, every time they make a new Red Ranger, they got new toys to put out on the market and they're making more money. I was like, that makes a lot more sense. So I went back, I was like, I want to see these 10 Red Rangers. And I went back and I got to film with them and, you know, several of them walked up and shook my hand. They're like, hey man, good to meet you. You started this. And I was like, well, I'm one of 5 that started it. You guys are carrying on the legacy. And they have. Now there's 100+ Rangers, and every one of them added their own story. And that's what makes it so special. It doesn't matter which Ranger you're looking at, which season, which era. There's 5 personal adults, maybe. I think they were all adults after me. I was the last teenager that was hired. That really brought their own story and made it special. And you guys kept watching. Some of you did. And the show is still famous to this day. Still in 40 countries and 90 languages. So it's a great thing to be a part of. I kind of feel like the Godfather. You know what I mean? One day, you're going to watch this episode. I can't even do it. Anyway, it's fun.
And then I got you. All right, fine.
and I wanted to ask which of your return crossovers you came back for that you liked the most.
Which of the crossovers did you like the most?
That's hard to pick. Coming back for Turbo as Gold Ranger was kind of fun. It's the only Ranger that I've ever had the Power Ranger of 3 Rangers at one time. It's the most powerful Ranger ever created. That was fun. That was kind of neat. Forever Red was a lot of fun. Coming back with those guys. Jason in one line walked up to Tommy when he shows up and took all of the power back. And the line was written, you weren't going to do this without the original Red Ranger. Like you had a choice, right? Well, I changed one little word. And I came up and I said, or a couple words, I said, you didn't think I was going to let you do this without the original Red Ranger, did you? And immediately, I'm back in power. So, and working with those guys and seeing what they were doing and how they carried on the legacy was really kind of cool too. It opened my eyes, because I didn't even know the show was still filming at that point. And then they asked me to come back for Super Mega Smackdown, whatever that was. But I was overseas, so I think at the time I was in Kuwait. Either Kuwait or Iraq, I don't remember. But I couldn't come back for that. And then I just came back for Beast Morphers, and that was a different experience because it was filming in New Zealand, in Auckland. So I got to see New Zealand. I got to go to Piha or Puha Beach. Somebody's going to hang me for saying that wrong. But it was beautiful, black sand beach, and we got to go to the mountains, and we got to see waterfalls, and I got to experience, the Kiwi lifestyle, which is what New Zealanders may or may not refer to themselves as. I hope that's not a bad way to say it. If it is, I feel like I'm going to find out very soon. I didn't mean it if it is. But anyway, it was really cool, and then I got to see more about the Maori, the native New Zealand people, and just really cool stuff. It was a great experience. I would do it again.
Excellent. All right, I got a question over here on the aisle.
Yes. First, I just wanted to state, I think it's really powerful that you stood up for fair pay for the casting crew on the show, and I hope you still feel like it did make a difference, even if it didn't seem like at the time, because I think it does still make a difference. And then also, I have a two-pronged question here. One is that, the show has its history being very cheesy, but they still had the very family-friendly life lessons in there here. So I was wondering if there was a particular episode you did in the original run of the show where you really appreciated either your character's arc or the life lesson being told. And then the second question that I had was, I wanted to ask if you've seen the 2017 movie and what you thought of Dacre Montgomery's performance, and if you saw Dacre Montgomery's performance in that lead role, sort of reprising the Jason role.
I don't know about any particular episode that, I would say I was proud of. I think I was proud of my mom and dad for giving me, and my masters and senseis growing up, for giving me the only experience in leadership that I had to base my character off of. And that's where I garnered it all. I was 18. What did I really know about leadership outside of a football field or a martial arts class, or what my mom and dad had taught? I was fortunate. I had 2 amazing parents, and they're both my heroes. Dad was a Marine, Mom was a first female cop, and I can never remember if it's in the state of New Mexico or in the city of Roswell, New Mexico. So my mom, and that's in the 70s, when women did not belong in the police. Not just, we're gonna be mean to you and don't like you, but your partners try to get you killed, you don't belong. Crazy. So my mom came up in that era in the police force. Dad was a Mustanger in the Marine Corps. They were leaders, and there's all kinds of leadership, and we get so confused by what is it. And this is what I was trying to develop with Jason. We've all seen the big manly and womanly figures pick up a microphone and they just, listen to me, I am whatever I am, you must follow. Okay, well, there's one kind of leadership. I mean, Hitler was a leader, right? How did he lead? Through tyranny and fear. He oppressed, squashed, destroyed, and people followed because they knew if they didn't do it, there was going to be what to pay, and they weren't going to make it very long, or their families. So there's a type of leadership. Genghis Khan was a leader. Conquered the known world. Greatest conqueror in history. But he was also a benevolent leader. He rewarded his men greatly when they did well, and terrible things happened to them when they didn't. So there was fear, but there was also great reward. And then there's other leaders. Christ, to pick one, whether you believe it's a bedtime story or whether you believe in it. I'm Catholic, I believe in it. And here is a man who led by doing what he believed is right, no matter the circumstance, and made the ultimate sacrifice. Other people are like, oh, that makes him a martyr. Yeah, there's lots of martyrs in history. So you can be a leader in many different ways. I'll give you two simple things. One of the things I did with Jason, I didn't want to be a big blustering, show-off, skills everywhere, look at me, I'm so cool kind of leader. Because those guys are flash in the pans, they don't last long. I wanted to be more like my mother and father, who were very powerful. And they would walk into a room sometimes and not say a word. I remember seeing it in rooms full of generals with my father. And conversations would stop and every head would turn until they recognized my parents. And then it was just the weirdest thing. So that was where I kind of learned the motto, walk softly but carry a big stick. You know, things like violence. I've been taught in martial arts since I was a child. It's a last resort. It is a last resort. You look at the history of our country, nobody wanted to be violent, but the Boston Tea Party, that happened. We were being taxed, lives were being changed, money was being taken. We stood up, we believed for what we wanted, we freed our country. You know, there's a million directions where you can look at what point do you change direction. Jason had that change too. He didn't like violence, he didn't want to fight. But when it came time to fight, he broke whatever got in his way and supported his team first. And that is sort of a benevolence that I think a good leader should have. You can educate people all day long, you can send them lectures, you can tell them what it is to be a leader. But at the end of the day, what they're really going to do...
Attention please. Any cosplayer signed up for the cosplay contest
Timing
who has
is
not
incredible.
been judged,
Seriously.
please report to the classroom immediately. Any cosplay player who has been signed up for pre-judging for the cosplay contest, please report to this classroom immediately.
You might say that 3 more
Also,
times.
we do have a number of raffles going on. You can see those at this door. Thank you.
Sorry
I was
about
going to
that.
say, like, you know, there's a fire escape or, you know, something dangerous. Anyway, no matter what you teach people, no matter what you tell people, what people are going to do is follow your example. So if you're not leading by example, then you're a fake who's trying, or not. All right, so there's Jason. That's kind of how I built him a little bit of insight. Next question was the wrong millennium, 2017 film. I thought Montgomery did a pretty good job. My favorite scene in the whole movie with him was where he got the pimp slap the bully in detention, because I never would have been allowed to do that on Fox. It was too violent. So I thought that was great. You know how many times I wanted to pimp slap Bulk? So many times. But he probably would have liked it. He's a funny guy that way. Anyway, so I like that. My favorite character in the whole film was R.J. Seiler, the Blue Ranger. I thought he was incredible. I loved him. Favorite moment probably would have been the intro to the movie where they showed Zordon as the Red Ranger, because it built an arc and understanding to Day of the Dumpster, where Zordon chose me to be the Red Ranger, and there was that connection and leadership. And I think it explained a bit of the bond. And I thought that was really cool. And it's so bad. What was the name of Rita in the movie?
Elizabeth Banks?
Elizabeth Banks.
Elizabeth Banks.
Just wow, okay? Amazing woman, and I will tell you this. If that had been the original Rita, you never would have seen the Green Ranger evil sagas. You would have seen the red evil sagas. Because I'd have switched teams in a minute. So, anyway. It's funny, I talk about blondes, but I married a brunette. And I wouldn't change it for the world. Next.
I got a gentleman right here.
Any thoughts on coming back for the 30th anniversary episode in about 2 years?
If Hasbro writes the right project, they come up with a cool concept. I'm picky about coming back. I'm not going to come back every time they ask. In fact, I turn them down a lot, because I'm not going to be the guy who's always coming back. boring. You already have one of those. You don't need another. If they write something really cool and it pays tribute to who Jason is, I'd certainly consider it. I think it'd be kind of cool.
I got a question right here. Any other hands while I'm thinking? Okay, here and here. All right, you've been waiting, so let me get to you in just a moment.
So, the show came out when I was about 4 or 5 years old and took the world by storm. Everybody loved it. You couldn't find something without the toys. Problem was, got older, realized half of the show was Japanese, the other half was American, and then it was just the voiceover for the Japanese. Did you guys know about that going into it? And was it a disappointment knowing your martial arts background and not being able to do anything martial arts other than the little quick shots in the gym?
Well, we did a lot of martial arts. I fought a lot of putties before I morphed. Like a lot. I choreographed hundreds of fights. No, when the Red Ranger costume was on in the first 60 episodes, when any of the Ranger costumes were on, that was Japanese footage. After the first 60, then we started filming stateside. But, you know, my character, Walter's character, we did a ton of martial arts. Johnny Young Bosch, he did a ton of martial arts. And I could tell you, out of the alpha males of the group, any chance that we had, because we shot 3 camera units at one time, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie units. Alpha was like in the high school or in the juice bar, you know, any of the face footage, where we also did martial arts. I had martial arts competitions. That's where they had me half naked all the time doing martial arts. Our producer was creepy. She's like, oh, he doesn't need a shirt with that outfit. Okay, that's awkward. You're like old enough to be my mom, would you? Stop looking at me. Anyway, she was weird. But, so we did that, and then Bravo unit was like pickup shots and extra shots, and then Charlie unit was all stunts. So anytime we weren't needed on Alpha or Bravo units, I know I was running for Charlie unit, because I love doing stunts, air rams, the gymnastics, the martial arts, I did it all. So I had a lot of fun with that. Wasn't always, but there was a lot of Japanese footage in the first 60 episodes.
So you talked about seeing all the beautiful sights in New Zealand, but what was your experience there in New Zealand? Like, how was it?
It was great. The flight is monumental. How many of you have been? Man, just, it's a flight. Long one. And it's always harder, at least for me, it's harder coming back than it is going over, reacclimating. But, I mean, it was great. You know, Auckland is a lot of up and down, a lot of really steep hills, at least where I was in the city. And I can remember my runs got much shorter very quickly because there were so many hills. But it was beautiful. People were friendly. Everyone was outgoing. Lots of just big city life with New Zealanders. You know, it was great. I enjoyed it. I got to the beaches, and we got to see the mountains and some quarries, and we got to film in a lot of places. We had a gym in the city. I went and wrestled with the country's greatest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys, and you know, I was there for a lot of stuff. And it was just kind of one of those things where the stunt guys who were from the crew, they were like, "Hey man, you want to go grapple?" And we were finishing film, and I'm like, "Where? When?" They're like, "Tonight." I'm like, "With who?" And they told me, and I don't remember their name. I've got a picture. Couple pictures, but they were like, "Oh yeah, tell me who and when," and they told me who it was, and I was like, "Oh yeah," and they were like, "Yeah, they're the best in the country." I was like, "Let's go." You know, how do you turn that down? And a lot of people might consider turning something like that down out of fear. Fear is an opportunity to find your courage. Don't miss out on that. So you go. If they're better than you, if they're greater than you, taller, bigger, well, there's an opportunity to learn something and maybe succeed. So I went. So I did lots of cool stuff like that. We walked, no, that was Australia. So I've done all kinds of stuff. Diving with great whites, skydiving, 4 years in the Middle East with all sorts of experiences that this is not probably the crowd for. Lots of things. And you get to live a life like that, having been a medic, a firefighter, and having done many of the things that I'm proud of doing, by saying yes. Let's go. Fear no fear. Just go. Don't miss out. Opportunities are everywhere. Don't be the one to shut them down for yourself. Just say yes, go. I mean, unless it's criminal. Then don't get caught.
Hey Austin, I was wondering, have you ever met anyone from the original Super Sentai series, or has anyone from the original cast met them?
Yeah, I met them all at Power Morphicon in LA, which is the world's biggest Ranger convention. And we would, in fact, I was there Thursday only last time I went. And to give you an idea, my line, I'm pretty sure, filled up at least half of this entire convention center. And I can tell you that the original cast was there the time before that. Yuta Mitsuzaki, who's an incredible guy, he played Geki, and I got to meet the rest of the cast. Yuta's English is far better than my Japanese, and we had a translator and we had some cool conversations. It was pretty neat. They're great guys. They're all very humble, and even the Pink Ranger, I can't remember, pink and yellow, both the females. I swear they still look 12. I'm like, I gotta move to Japan. I don't know what you're eating over there, but it's working. Just saying. I need that Asian gene somewhere.
Two-parter. Any updates on the movie The Order, and any possible chance of bringing Morphicon up here?
Well, PMC, I think, is going to forever live in Pasadena, California. There is talk of a Power Morphicon Express that travels, but I'm not a part of that, so I couldn't really tell you. As far as the film The Order goes, I believe that Karen Ashley is still working on that. She's the producer. For those of you who don't know Karen Ashley, she played Aisha, the Yellow Ranger. And she took Twee's place when Twee left with us. So I know that she's still working diligently on putting together that project, but anything in Hollywood is a lot of work, so just be patient and that'll come. For those of you who don't know, I just released another film I did called Tres Leches. No, it's not the cake, and the cake is amazing. Tres Leches, it is rated R. Let me say that right off the top so you're not surprised. If you have delicate sensitivities, it is not the movie for you. If you're open to entertainment and funniness in kind of a dark, silly sort of way, check out Tres Leches. Go to John Schneider Studios and type in Tres Leches. It's on Cineflix, and you can check it out there. I filmed it. John Schneider, Dukes of Hazzard, Supergirl. You guys know him? He's an awesome guy, great producer, great director. I had fun working with him. And I filmed with his son, who is on the spectrum. He's autistic, and he plays one of the leads. So it was a great film, great time. I did another film called A Walk with Grace. It's a dramedy, and you can find that on Amazon. I play a wrestling coach with PTSD, who is kind of the conscience of small-town America. Lima, Ohio is where we shot the film, and which is also a dojo that I teach at with Sifu Lear when I head out that way. So I did that. I did a TV series called Fireball Run. That's on Amazon Prime. I did season 11, and every season is totally different, so it's not like you're going to get in there and be bored. There's fast cars, beautiful girls, historical events, guys like this, whatever your interest is. There's a lot to look at. It's kind of cool. A couple of Miss Americas were in it. Some big entrepreneurs. Ariana Dart, who was the inherited Red Solo Cup. I think she's worth like 70 billion now. She was driving a McLaren. And the point to the whole series is we help raise awareness for missing children. And we do it by driving across country 2,000 miles under a time limit. So it's pretty cool if you're into that sort of thing. Check out Fireball Run. And then I did a tiny little film that I wasn't supposed to do, didn't know I was going to do, called Monsters at Large, where they had some soap opera guy who was doing a couple of days of filming opposite Misha Barone, who was in the OC. And he was supposed to just be a husband for a couple of scenes. And he backed out at the last minute. Well, everybody's on set, they're filming. And they called me, a friend called the director, called the producer, who called me and said, "Are you still in Florida?" I'm like, "Yeah. Can you come up and film for us and save this film? It's about to drop." I'm like, "Oh, sure. Send me a script." And I just went up and played a dad. And it's kind of cool. Great one for the littles if you have littles. It's my little boy is the neighborhood monster getter. He gets them out of closets in the neighborhood. It's a fun film. You'll enjoy it. But I'm just know that I'm not in it a lot. And I lost track after that. All right, next.
Austin, our buddy Grayson's back.
Two things. It's one thing is the original Yellow Ranger from Zoo Ranger, which is Super Sentai version of Mighty Morphin, is actually a boy.
That's right.
Yeah, and his name on the show was Boy for some reason. But the second thing was how was your relationship with JDF, like when you first met him?
Well, it was fine because we just met, so everything was good. Good question, and you're right about the first Yellow Ranger from the Sentai series being Boy. Those of you who go back and watch the series now, you may notice some interesting things that you might not have noticed as a child. I'm just going to leave it at that, because there are little ears here.
All right, we're back here. Go ahead, sir.
What was your favorite part of filming for Mighty Morphin?
120 episodes. I think probably the original series, the original unaired pilot. Not Day of the Dumpster, but the original unaired pilot. It was the very first thing we filmed. And I think that was it because it was my first day on set as an actor. It was my first day on a film set. I didn't know anything about acting. And it was, I just turned 18. So it was me trying to figure out what it is to be a man now that I'm 18. Because you're, at 18, that's a big one for a guy. You're like, I'm 18, I'm a man. You know what I mean? Like you want to have that moment. And you have it a little bigger when nobody's watching. You're like, yeah, I'm 18, yeah, or maybe, I don't know. I was excited about it, but I really wasn't sure what it meant other than I was 18. Now it was legal to be arrested for things I wasn't before. I had a greater responsibility for myself. So that was kind of a big day for me when I came in to film that episode. I realized I'm a man, and then I realized all the things I was responsible for, and I was like, this sucks. Man, this is not easy. And then I realized I have to create the greatest leader of the world's greatest superhero team ever. And I had no idea how to do that either. And unknowingly, I modeled them after my parents, and I think it worked out, and you guys in 40 countries and 90 languages decided I did okay, because you guys decided the show was #1. And then we started bringing in other actors. So that was a major crossroads for me. I had to figure out who I was and what I was creating without losing my mind in Hollywood, which is really easy. Good question.
All right, here we are back here again.
Hi, I was wondering, if Hasbro asked you to come back and sit up as the Red Omega Ranger, Jason's second Ranger form in the comics, would you?
I think that could be pretty cool. I mean, as long as they wrote the story well, I think I would actually really enjoy that. For quite a few reasons. Another really cool reason, like everybody talks about Kimberly, Jason and Kimberly, and I like Kimberly. Kimberly's a cool girl, but I was a trainee guy. Like, she was calm, she wasn't high maintenance, you know what I mean? And she was Twee. Twee was kind of like a sister to me. So I think what gets me in that series of comics is Jason and Trini switch uniforms and actually end up kissing. And I was like, what just happened? I didn't even get a girlfriend on the series. Billy had 8. Walter Jones had like 3 or 4 at least good attempts. At the Gold Ranger episode, I got to walk down the beach at the very end with my arm around a girl, and that was it. I got robbed. Everything they ever told you about jocks getting all the girls, it's lies. So not true. I'm still traumatized. That's a trigger. Anyway, yeah. So if they did the Omega thing, I think that would be, because it just opens up a whole new universe. I think that could be pretty cool. I really do. Cool idea. You want to write them in and tell them? everybody send letters, emails, letters. Nobody writes letters anymore. Send an email to Hasbro and tell them what's up. All right, go team, go. Next.
All right, here we are.
He actually was in the same line of the question I had. What is your opinion on the various incarnations of that Jason? Because there's the World of the Coinless Jason where he has PTSD and he tries to steal the powers from Ranger Slayer. And then you have the Omega Red Ranger where he actually goes to time and is like, I actually might kill you. Like in the last few issues, we're gonna go at it.
Tommy's been trying to kill me since day one. Hasn't worked yet, never will. What was the other one? Jason had PTSD and what? Come on up. Come on up. I don't bite, it's safe up here.
So there's a World of the Coinless version of Jason.
World of the Coin is what it's called? The World of the Coin is what it's called?
World of the Coinless, yeah. It's the post-apocalyptic universe where Lord Dragon took over and destroyed everything.
Oh, this is Draken's world. That's why I don't know anything about it. Okay.
So apparently Jason was locked up in a basement and Kimberly brings him out of the basement and he goes crazy, starts to kill people. And then when he calms down, he's like, I want to be the Red Ranger again. I'm taking the powers back. And she's like, no, but you gotta share with everybody. So it's like he has this really dark arc where he's like coming to terms with being an adult and having to share the powers with people rather than live this life. And then there's the Omega Red Ranger.
The Omega Red I know about.
Right.
So the Power Coin Jason, I mean, because I know the writers. I know Ryan and Kyle. I love the idea. You know, you look at Batman, the original Batman, pow, bang, boom, super cheesy, the Riddler, Catwoman, I mean, Penguin, I mean, that was all just cheese. But it was great. You look at Batman today and we've got the Dark Knight. I would love to see Hasbro do a Dark Rangers. And I'm not opposed to Jason having PTSD or Kimberly being tragically upset at the fact that Trini was lost in a previous battle. Or Zach, you know, the whole team having been affected by Trini being lost in a different way. You know, Zach's upset and he's still dancing and outgoing, but he's got an edge and a temper and, you know, and maybe there's, you know, partakeage. You know, Billy, who's still doing incredible things. He works for DARPA, but he's got an underground facility where he's building something that instead of making America great, makes the world safe or something. I don't know. So I could see a lot of directions for a darker Rangers that I think you as adults now would enjoy or maybe be ready for. I think Jason, you know, I think he was very attached to Twee as a sister, but I also think as a leader. You know, there's a saying, I think it was General Patton who said something to the effect of, I'm going to mess it up, but it's wrong to mourn those that are dead, to mourn men who have died in battle. It is better to pray and be thankful that those men were alive. And I think that would be the summation of a struggle that Jason would have with the loss of Trini. So I could see a lot of dark places you could take. Maybe you make that a miniseries. I mean, that's a lot to plug into one movie. Yeah, all right. I have actually the entire collection. I just haven't opened them because I'm collecting them. Next question. Thanks, man.
All right. Got room for two more. I had one hand here, one hand up in the middle, and we'll wrap up with that. So go ahead, sir.
All right, Austin. What was it like to be the Red Ranger throughout your career?
Seems like such a simple question. I mean, throughout my career, when I was filming, it was fun. It was great. You know, I got to be in charge and I got to lead these great superheroes. But when I took the suit off and went to work or went home, I started running into people on the streets, children, who, and some teenagers and some adults, who started losing their minds because there was Jason. Even though I was in my jeans and a t-shirt, you know, I walked into a mall and after a year of filming, we'd gone to #1 in the world, and my first outing literally was one day after a year of filming. I decided to go to the Glendale Galleria and buy a pair of jeans. Dumb. I walked in that front door, I got mobbed. I lost my shades, my hat, I had claw marks down my back, my shirt was torn, one of my back pockets was torn off my butt, I was missing a shoe, and by the time security got there, they thought it was a fight. And they finally broke it up and escorted me somewhere else, and I'm, you know, almost completely naked at this point. And they're like, you gotta let us know when you're coming so we can give you a security escort. I was like, okay, all right. You know, I was a simple Marine son. I didn't really get it. So that was interesting. And then I started learning about all the people who really looked up to me and didn't separate Jason and Austin. They were one and the same. And that's when it hit me that it was one thing to pretend to be a superhero on TV. I kind of felt like a phony. I was like, oh, they fell in love with this act, this thing I portrayed. And they did that with all of us. And I left the show, and then I had a choice to make. And it was simple. Well, what's stopping me from doing it for real? And how do I do that? And I started looking. So I found fire department, I found paramedic, I found tactical casualty combat care, I found flight medicine, I started teaching emergency medicine, I taught at Trauma One hospitals, I was credentialed through George Washington Medical University, I was already a shooter and a specialist in hand-to-hand combat. So then I took it overseas for 4 years with Department of Defense. And I'm at peace with what I've earned. But I think the weight of what it was to be the Red Ranger was something I felt like I had to try to live up to in real life, and I'm not done yet. I'm still working on it, and I'll get there. But that's probably the best answer.
We're going to wrap up right here with this gentleman next to me. That Wendy's incident in your first year of shooting. How long did it take you to be able to walk into a Wendy's again after that?
So, I'll tell this story for those of you that haven't heard it. I was filming, we were in Valencia, California, and right down the road was Wendy's. And I was getting really tired of set food. I wanted something else. I like the spicy chicken sandwich, that's my thing. So I go, and I don't get anything on it, I just want mustard and ketchup and pickles. I don't know how you feel about that, but I like it. I get my big Diet Coke, and I'm pretty happy. Well, that day, I went off the Richter scale, and I got a salad with chili. And because I was cutting weight, I knew I had a scene or an episode coming up where I was going to be naked again. And I was like, I got to have the abs, you know, be ready to go for that. So I'm sitting down at Wendy's in a corner, and I'm eating. And I'm in the corner, facing the corner of the inside of the building on purpose. Because rumors had been out and about that we filmed around there, so people knew to look for us. Right up the road, a quarter mile, is Six Flags. So tour buses are a pretty regular thing in that area. And as I'm sitting here in the corner eating my salad, I think I just, like, I don't even know if I'd taken a bite yet. I think I had had my Diet Coke. 2 tour buses of high school girls pull up. And I'm sitting there in blue jeans and a t-shirt, no hat, no way to hide myself, and my face is pretty well known at the time. And I just kind of hunker down. I'm like trying to hide, terrified to eat, because, you know, I didn't want to be doing that number. And the girls filter in, and they're squawking and, you know, doing their thing, having a good time, excited to go to the theme park. And then they start filtering out and grabbing tables. I'm like, man, I'm losing time. I gotta get back to filming. I'm not even supposed to be here. I wasn't even supposed to leave set to come eat. I should have eaten on set. I don't remember the first one that discovered it and looked. But I remember looking up and seeing a girl looking at me, and then look away. And I thought, and 3, 2, and I see her lean over and whisper. And then the room just started getting quiet from one corner all the way around to the other corner. And I look up again, and everybody is. And then they confirmed it. Now they all saw for themselves, and you can guess what broke loose. And they all had the roller Polaroid, the little roller cameras, the old-fashioned way. Click, 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 and I'm taking photos. I'm like, I'm gonna be in so much trouble with the producers, and more photos and more streams, and my backside got felt a lot. I was like, this is illegal. You're a teenager. Crazy. I could have gone there. I didn't do it. Anyway, I was a little spooked. But at the end of it all, they finally, I think the bus driver or the teacher or whoever it was felt sorry for me. And they're like, okay, girls, on the bus, grab your food. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And I turned around to grab my salad and my fork, which I just stuck in the top of the salad, was stolen. As was my straw. And I remember thinking to myself, of all the things you could steal from a guy, the thing that was in his mouth? Wait. I mean, it was pre-COVID, but still, it's a little, why? I was like, and I still don't understand women to this day. I'm lost. Just ask my wife.
Yeah? So the takeaway is leave the man's fork alone. And thank you.
I think I have photo ops now. So I'll do photo ops and then I'll be back at my table.
Thanks again.